Hello everybody, here we are today and we're going to be talking about Alex Ovechkin's slow start to the year in terms of goal scoring. Now before we start, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So this was actually a subscriber suggested video idea. I'm going to probably think about doing that from time to time. I really liked it because I don't really have to think of a video and you guys get to see some content maybe you wanted to see. So thank you so much for Kimberly to suggest that, and we're going to be talking about Alex Ovechkin, a guy that you probably have heard his name right now, and it's just impossible if you are relatively familiar with hockey. Ovi is second all-time in career goals in the NHL with 824, just 70 goals behind Wayne Gretzky. And a lot of people are hoping and just kind of expecting to see this record broken. Kind of one of those records you never really thought would actually get broken, but here we are. But with Ovi's slow start to the year, people are saying, is this going to be something where maybe it doesn't actually happen? And while I would see why people would start to worry a little bit, we also have to consider the fact that this is a guy that over the past 4 seasons has 164 goals in 263 games played, about pace for 51 goals per season. So for a guy that's in his mid to late 30s, it's not too shabby to be able to score 50 goals a year, and you also have to consider the fact that he is a 9-time Rocket Richard winner. Clearly somebody that's been able to score a lot of goals regularly, not even just in the past 4 years, but over the course of his career. He goes out there his first year in his career and scores like 52 goals. Second year, I think might have been 65. It was at least 60 goals. So I totally am coming from this aspect where he is somebody you would expect to score a lot of goals. But I will say this at the same time. Looking at what I just said, over the course of the past 4 years, you're looking at a pace of about 50 goals per season. Here we are 8 games in, and he's just scored 2 goals. So is there some legitimate reasons to be concerned about it? Well, in the sense of the negative mindset or the people that are starting to fret a little bit, I do think there are a few reasons you could say we should be concerned. The biggest one right now being the fact that he, for the first time in his career to start off his season or just in general, ended up having 0 shots on goal in consecutive games. That has never happened in his career until the start of this season in his first 2 games. I'm getting tongue-tied. So yeah, that is history being made, and not in a good way for a guy that is trying to chase down number 99's record. However, on the flip side, I do want to say that this is a guy that is 38 years old. Mind you, he is, getting to the point where he's nearly 40, and has played nearly 1400 games, not 14 games, in the NHL. So he's got a lot of wear and tear. So I think in that sense, you could arguably forgive him a little bit with the slow start, or you could say, well, that could happen from time to time for a guy that is approaching halfway through what is a working career, in the sense where you're getting 20 some years away from retirement. Obviously not in this sport. But on the same side here, where we want to argue both sides, could we see him end up having a 30-something goal season for the first time since the 2016-17 season? Or dare I say we even get more bold and say that this is the first time in his career over the course of a full 82-game season that he ends up finishing with 20 to 29 goals? That is something to be debated, and we are going to jump into the numbers to where I will kind of give my take on what I think will happen. So the numbers say that things are going good for him in the sense that he is 6th in the league for shots and he is 4th in the league for power play minutes. Obviously something we expected, considering the fact that he led all Washington players last year for power play minutes. May have been just behind a defenseman, but I think in general he actually did lead the team for power play minutes. Makes sense, as this guy has been a monster for his career on the power play. And a good thing about the fact that he gets so much time on the power play is the fact that he is 1st in the league for power play shots. And that is something that's going to help you out a lot in terms of goal scoring. In general, looking at points, that's always a great thing. But if you're a guy that's chasing Wayne Gretzky's record, you like to get a lot of power play time, and you like to be firing the puck away a lot and the opponent's net, or on the opponent's net, to be able to try to score a lot of goals. So that is good. And another thing that you could argue is a good thing for him is the fact that his individual expected goal total is higher than what his actual goal total is. Not saying that necessarily over a span of the season that's going to hold up, or that necessarily means that he will suddenly be able to score more goals. you will see guys have a individual expected goal total that is higher than what their actual goal total is, but it does mean that right now at this point in the season, maybe he's had to face good goalies, or maybe, you know, the shot that he took was a good chance, but it just got blocked, whatever the case may be. So those are some things that are leading into the direction of, oh, those are good. On top of that, he's also getting over 20 minutes a night. Any guy that's out there and getting that amount of playing time is going to be in a good position to score goals, especially when you're getting a lot of power play time and you are 6th in the league entirely in all situations for shots on goal. And I feel like another thing that could really benefit Ovi that will allow him to go and get a lot of goals this year is, while Dylan Strome does have the team lead for goals right now with 6 currently, you look at the Capitals roster and you say, I don't necessarily view anybody on this team that is just the go-to guy over Ovechkin. You know, you could go to Buffalo and say, well, Tage Thompson's going to be a goal scorer for them. You could go to Boston and you could say David Pasternak's going to be a goal scorer. You could go to, I don't know, let's say you go out to Vancouver. Elias Pettersson's going to be a good top goal scorer for them. Washington, being in the state that they're in right now, where you're not really sure if they're a playoff team or not, and with some of the older guys that they have and these younger guys that are on cheaper deals that maybe haven't great opportunities up to this point, doesn't really scream, oh, there's going to be guys that you are going to say get more shots than Ovi, or they are expected to carry a heavier workload than Ovi offensively in terms of scoring goals, which in this case is a good thing for Ovechkin to have a heavier workload. And the reality is, with Ovechkin being the guy that he is, yes, he may have started off the year where he had back-to-back games with 0 shots on goal, consecutive games, and that being a record, but he also had a game against the Maple Leafs where I think he set the record for most shots in a period with 7 or something like that, and then ended up finishing the game with 14. That is some stuff that you see with prime goal scorers and guys that don't mind firing the puck a lot. Ovi is certainly one of those guys that has no problem just taking a ton of shots in a game and finishing the season, you know, if not first, being up there with a lot of these guys for most shots attempted, probably being up there again with most shots on goal. There is a flip side to this, though, where you could argue against Ovi having the ability to bounce back from the slow start. And while I have argued in terms of Ovi being favored for being able to get back on the right trend, where he's had a lot of opportunities on the power play, where he's had a lot of minutes in general, and is expected to have a heavier offensive workload compared to most guys on other rosters, there is a flip side to this. The reality is he is an older guy. He has played a lot of minutes, and he's been a guy that's, you know, played through injuries, been a very tough player, and at the same time is taking bad shots for this point of the season. A lot of these shots that he's getting that are unblocked shots are low danger chances. Low danger chances don't tend to mean goals, so while his individual expected goal total may be higher than what his actual goal total is, the reality is something like this. Let's say you and your brother are playing street hockey or something like that in the garage, and you take the net and you put it out there and you say, why don't you go shoot the puck a lot, or the ball, whatever the case is, towards the net farther out. See how far you can go. Let's see how many times you can score. Even though they're shooting the ball a lot on net, doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be scoring more goals because they are farther away. You have more time to react, and it's just harder to be able to get shots on goal. So right now there are 2 arguments here. I'm kind of in the camp where Ovi is going to be able to get back and rolling with things. However, I will say this, I think he just has 1 normal goal this season, and the other one is an empty net goal. So we're at the point where if things continue to go poorly for Ovechkin through, let's say, halfway through the year, maybe you could be at the point where saying this is going to be more difficult to get to Gretzky's record than previously thought. So now we're at the point where we're going to see the Russian machine that never breaks if cracks are finally starting to appear. And I will say you could do a much deeper dive into this, but it's so early in the year that I did want to talk about it, but you know, we're not 40 games in to where there's a lot of concern about Ovechkin's game suddenly being just a non-factor. So what are your thoughts on Alex Ovechkin's slow start to the season? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. And you go love hockey, alright. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.